Okay. Hopefully this is the last time I have to say something about this, but you know, when you have, well, let me just put it this way, TheEzekiel300. You want to comment on my reading off Dan Dreissen's reviews? Well, you know, it's fine. I'm cool with that. You have a right to say what you want to say. But you keep asking me why I keep saying bad things about Ian. First of all, Ezekiel300, let me make something perfectly clear to you. I don't hate Ian. I don't dislike the guy. Yes, I've had my problems with him in the past. I've had my problems. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I've had my problems. But here's the reason why I've had my problems. I have basically tried time and time again to try to let Ian know. I've tried to comment him, tried to comment on some of the things. I've tried to get a response from him on DeviantArt. I'm following him on Twitter. The thing is, I've tried time and time again to get the guy to understand that you need to give people second chances. I was banned off Sonic Stadium for some time. I talked to the administrator and I said to that person, I talked to the person in charge, I said, please give me a second chance. And I promise, you give me a second chance and I will not make the same mistake twice. And I have lived up to my promise. All I've ever asked from Ian, even if I've had to come back on with a different username and a different password, all I've ever asked from Ian by doing so is, hey, give me a second chance. The truth of the matter is that it's not my fault, if you will, that myself and other people in the same predicament as me can pretty much figure out almost exactly what Ian's going to plan next, or what the result's going to be of a story arc. It's not our fault. All we ever try to do is let Ian know that if you're going to do something like this, you need to make yourself unpredictable to people. Now, I understand Ian's doing all he can, doing the best that he can, and I respect that. I respect the fact that the guy's the first and probably only fan so far from the fan base to go from being a fan to working on the comic. Heck, I enjoyed reading his Other M webcomic when I first heard about it many years ago. In fact, I printed the damn thing out in black and white, and some in color, and I think one in color. But I printed it out, and I enjoyed it. I read the whole thing, and I liked it. But if you think there's a problem between me and him, the only problem that there's ever been is the fact that all I've asked for is a second chance. Have I been bitter about the fact that he banned me because I guessed, because maybe I did something that I shouldn't have done on a few occasions? Yes. Maybe that's true. But the thing is, I don't flat out hate the guy. I respect him. I don't flat out dislike him. I respect him. And the truth is, all I've ever asked for is a second chance. I have nothing against him. Just like anybody else, I feel he could do better. Well, all I'm doing, Ezekiel300, is reading off what other people have said. If you go to andrews.edu, in fact, if you Google andrews.edu and put in Dan Dreisen as well in your Google search, you'll see exactly who this guy is. You look him up on Facebook, you'll see who this guy is. He even has a DeviantArt account. The guy's the same age as my mom. He's in his 60s. And yet he takes time out, Ezekiel300, to review an issue of Sonic the Hedgehog or a related issue of Sonic the Hedgehog. Or Sonic Universe or whatever. Sonic X. He takes time out to review them. He doesn't have to, but he does it. But he does because he's a fan. He's a fan, and all he's doing by reviewing, by giving the kind of reviews that he has recently, even though they may not be the most positive, is he's trying to get someone like Ian Flynn to realize you've got a lot more potential and you could do a lot more than just, what you have here. You could expand a lot more. You could do a lot more than just what you're showing, just what you're writing down right now. You can do a lot more. Now I understand, Ezekiel, I understand where you come from. I understand that you support Ian, and that's good. That's great. I understand and respect the fact that you feel Ian's going to do the best that he can with what he has, and that's good. But the point I'm trying to make is I don't hate Ian, I don't dislike him, I respect him. And I know he has the potential to do better. And he has the potential to be probably one of the great comic book writers of all time. Potentially. But when I'm reading off someone's review like Dan Dreisen's, and he's given a categorized, and he's scoring each category with the high score being 10 for each category, overall, basically saying that if it's one story, an issue, and that's the overall score of 30, and you get less than that, that's basically him saying you could do better. Or this wasn't the best issue, or this was a fairly decent issue. The way I look at it, the way it's scored by Dan Dreisen is basically, by Dan Dreisen, is if you get below 15, you are essentially not doing a good issue. And the main story for 237 in Dan Dreisen's eyes, TheEzekiel300, was a 12. A 12 out of 30. Basically an F. A failure. Something that needs to be worked on and improved on. Something that needs to be worked on and improved on, Ezekiel. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's basically, Dan Dreisen is trying to tell people like Ian Flynn that you could do better. You have the potential to do better, to be better, and go from having a 12 out of 30 to having a 30 out of 30. He's proven in the past that he can do that. There's no doubt about it. He's proven in the past that he can do it, Ezekiel300. He's proven it. He has proven it time and time again. He has proven it time and time again. He has proven it time and time again that he could do better. But what you have to understand is that all Dan Dreisen is doing is just giving his personal opinions about what he sees. He's basically grading it by score. Basically grading it by score. No, one must have fell out. I was going to give her these little snacks, my dog. But anyway, he's grading it by score. I mean, ask yourself this, Ezekiel300, and anybody else watching. Anybody else watching, ask yourselves this. Ask yourselves this. What is the worst score? What is the worst grade? What is the worst? Okay, think about this. Think back to school. Think back to your high school or college years or current time in school. What is the worst grade you've ever gotten on the best subject that you are good at? Ask yourself that. What is the worst grade you've ever gotten? Ask yourself, look back in your history. Did you ever get an F or a D minus or a D on an assignment which focuses around the best subject that you're good at in school? Ask yourself that. Think back then. You know why? Now you probably ask, well, why are you asking us to do that? Because I want you guys to have an idea of exactly Ezekiel300, how Dan Dryden scores this. And why he has been, as you put it, negative lately in his reviews. It's all because he's trying to tell someone like Ian Flynn, you could do better. You could do better at what you do. You could produce better stories. You could use elements there that need to be used, that you're not utilizing, that you're underutilizing. You can utilize them if you take the time to do it. That is what he's trying to tell Ezekiel 3. That Ezekiel300 is what someone like Dan Dryden and anybody else that criticizes Ian Flynn, that's basically what they're trying to tell him. He could do better. So, I thought I'd just get that off my chest, and hopefully by this time, Ezekiel300, you'll understand. One, I have nothing against Ian Flynn. I don't hate the guy. I don't dislike the guy. I respect him. All I've ever asked for is a second chance. Yeah, that's all I've asked for. That's all I've asked for. And secondly, when someone like Dan Dryden, who, like I said, is the oldest fan in the fan base, at 60 years old, if not older than that, if not by a few years, comes out and takes his time out of his busy schedule and gives a review and categorizes each and every, the three main subjects, head of the story, art of the story, and heart of the story, in three different categories, and scores it, but with the high score being 10, and overall giving it a 30, which overall means 30 if you get 10 altogether, if not 60 if it's a backup, there's a backup story too, then that shows you how much dedication this guy has, but how much he wants someone like Ian Flynn to improve on his skills and do better and expand and utilize what is there instead of underutilizing it. So hopefully Ezekiel300, this clears some up. But knowing you, you may find something else, but that's okay. If that's how you feel, that's fine. But hopefully this cleared the air and gave you a better idea. So comment down below, video response if you like. I'll talk to you all later.